Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, which is coming out next month and stars Matt Damon, looks like it could be in a bit of trouble. Audience interest has declined considerably, according to the latest audience data. This article is from cosmicbook.news. The Odyssey audience interest plummets amid Christopher Nolan backlash. There has been some controversy. Some audiences have not responded well to the first trailers for the film in terms of the dialogue being too contemporary and also some of the casting choices. We've discussed that before, but we will get into some of that again. It says audience interest in Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey has taken a big hit. The latest audience tracking numbers show interest in the movie has dropped 8 points, falling from 54 to 46, according to the Quorum via Puck News. Awareness also slipped 2 points to 40. Wow, that's a big decline. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that might be in and around the level of Supergirl, if memory serves. Obviously, Christopher Nolan generally makes a lot of big blockbusters, and he's got a dedicated following. You know, he's made the likes of Oppenheimer, the Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, Interstellar, The Prestige, Dunkirk, Tenet, and others. Big movies. Big box office performers. He's a major director and writer in Hollywood. He's a big name. And I don't ever remember there being such negativity or controversy surrounding one of his upcoming films prior to their release. So The Odyssey is unique in that regard. It says the drop comes after weeks of controversy surrounding Nolan's casting choices. Lupita Nyong'o, apologies if I haven't pronounced that correctly, Lupita Nyong'o's comments about playing Helen of Troy, backlash from fans online, and even Nolan's recent 60 Minutes appearance, which does not appear to have helped calm things down and may have actually backfired. Now, just my 2 cents at this point. Although Christopher Nolan's brand as a filmmaker is very strong, and I am a fan of his films, I think his good reputation is very much deserved. But we've seen strong franchises and IPs that were once just rock solid, like guaranteed successes. We've seen these kinds of movies fail in recent years, from the likes of the MCU with 3 box office failures last year in Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four First Steps, to the DCU's Superman, to last year's Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, and most recently, Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu. What I'm saying is, you could once bank on such movies being box office successes. Their brands were really strong. But it feels now like we live in a time where all bets are off when it comes to movies. Anything could happen. Anything could fail at the box office. And I think even a Christopher Nolan movie could fail if audience apathy is significant enough, right? That's just my 2 cents. The Odyssey still has time before release, but the latest numbers suggest the online backlash is real and may be starting to bleed into general audience perception. Backlash over Nolan's casting hasn't gone away. The drop follows controversy over Nolan's casting for The Odyssey, including Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy. Yeah, audiences simply want characters to be period accurate in terms of casting choices, whether it's an historical figure, a fictional character, or in this case, an ancient mythological character. And Helen of Troy is a Greek mythological character. So, yeah, she may be mythological, but people just want the casting of this mythological character to reflect the time when Homer wrote his Greek epic. It says Nyong'o recently addressed the backlash by saying The Odyssey is a mythological story and that she is not spending her time defending the casting. Yeah, but again, it may be a mythological story, but it's one from the 7th or 8th century BC. So audiences just want that to be taken into account. So this is part of the backlash, where some people feel upset with what looks like Nolan pandering to the Hollywood DEI thing, which is disappointing if that's the case. The casting, the tone, Travis Scott playing a bard, the lack of a traditional orchestra, the costume designs, and Nyong'o's comments have all become part of the larger conversation around the movie. Now, from the trailers, you can see that some of the costumes are not accurate to the Bronze Age. Now, some people might defend this by saying, look, there's clearly some artistic license being taken here. There's a decision being made to reinterpret some things. It is mythology after all, and so they might say that these are stylistic choices. They may not work from an historical accuracy point of view, but they could work from a creative and visual design perspective. Perhaps they add an interesting visual language or visual element to the movie that gives it a unique look. And that's what some people might say in defense of these choices. That's not me saying that. I don't know. I'll let you judge and sound off in the comments below, dear viewer, if it's a problem for you. I think casual audiences might be more forgiving if some of the costumes are not period accurate. So I think it's important to consider the mindset of casual moviegoers, because when it comes to things like the costumes not being period accurate, that aspect of the film may not bother as many people as you might think. For me, I just don't like the look of the film visually. And also, as I've said before, the dialogue is far too contemporary. And I find that distracting. Which I think just doesn't suit the film from the point of view that when it comes to major epics, mythological movies, historical epics, there's a certain type of convention when it comes to dialogue that we've come to expect, which is that the dialogue be more formal, which I think would have suited the film much better. I believe that some of the wrong creative choices have been made. I could still be wrong. All right, this could end up being a massive box office juggernaut. Christopher Nolan's name still carries enormous weight with general audiences. So we'll see if all of this backlash just blows over, if it's a storm in a teacup. But I would say, putting aside the casting and the dialogue and the costume decisions, the trailers still don't wow me. I'm not invested in these characters. That doesn't mean it won't be a good movie. But personally, from what I've seen from these trailers, I'm just not sold on it. I'm looking forward to your comments below. Let me know what you think. Thanks very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.